All right, hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Dead Pundits Society. Today, we're going to be doing a top 10 teenage players since 1990. And as you can see here, we're joined by a new face. That's Julian. He's a friend of Pablo and I, and he went to university with us, also played football with us on the same team for a couple years. Julian, if you want to say hello.
Yeah, hey everyone, I'm Julian. As I said, fellow uni mates. Yeah, had a very successful stint together on Sunday league team here in Amsterdam. And yeah, beyond that, obviously massive football fan. Definitely have my opinions. Manchester United and for my club team and national team, just kind of go off vibes, man. I'm just an enjoyer of all things football. So yeah, that's me.
Julian watched some of the previous episodes and told Pablo and I that we were being too subjective and that he wanted to add a new opinion to the mix. So we said, all right, let's put the money where your mouth is and hop on this one. So
Yeah.
today, guys, we're going to be doing, as I said, a top 10 teenage players since 1990. And to clarify in the parameters, we are only counting them as a player in their teens. Anything and everything they completed after they turned 20 isn't a factor. Also, we're only doing from 1990 onwards, as the three of us haven't really had the chance to see those players that were playing before that. So notable exclusions include Maradona, Pele, and such. They won't be making this list. So the way the scoring system works is we had seven people total, including the three of us, send lists of their top 10 players and assigned points based off of those lists. So first place getting 10 points, second place getting 9 points, and so on. So out of a total maximum of 70 points is what a player can get. So hopping into the first player out of a total of 24 players that were submitted across the seven lists, we have Jesse Rodriguez, who was submitted by my friend Dior and another friend of his who helped make the list. They put him in 10th. I'm seeing some visceral reactions here already. Does anyone, Pablo, you want to say something?
I mean that's just ridiculous. Like 10th of all time, but yeah, I mean I don't necessarily
What?
agree with that. I think obviously Jesse was good, but Julian doesn't even know who Jesse Rodriguez
Yeah.
was probably.
Bro, I no,
But
of course I do, but I was just shocked. I haven't heard his name. Like he's completely out of relevance. Like
yeah,
that's
I think that's a
crazy
difficult
left
take
To
to
field.
be fair, I
accept.
will I will add a caveat for Dior and he made the list with his friend, and his friend's also a Real Madrid fan, and they said
Bro.
two notable things. They said they wanted to put some outside shouts, but also they're excluding Messi and Ronaldo from their list. So just as we go forward, CR7 and Messi have been
Yeah.
omitted from their lists. But
I mean that's
yeah,
fair. Even if you had excluded Messi and Ronaldo, I don't think Jesse makes the top 30, but that's just my
they said
opinion.
the performance at Real Madrid Castilla and U19 for Spain. I don't agree with it, but this player received only 1 point. He was only in one list.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
the case. We'll move on from that one.
Yeah,
Uh,
I got no words, bro. Let's please. That's goodness. Yeah.
all right. So for 23rd, or I guess we would call it a joint 14th, because there's a lot of joints on this list. We have two players who are Pedri and Dele Alli, who both received 2 points
Oh,
total because they were ninth place in two people's lists.
yeah, interesting actually. The Deli Alley one, that is actually a name I hadn't considered as well. But now thinking about it, I mean, he was immense that season in Tottenham, man.
He
But
was
once
good, yeah.
he was good for two
But
seasons,
I'm
but I'm
not
just
I'm
trying
not
to think,
sure if
were
it
those
was I'm not sure if he was over 20 when he had
that's what
that
I
great
mean. That's
season.
what I mean.
That's
Like
the
I'm
thing.
just trying to remember whether those that because I mean he came from MK Dons, that
Mm,
I remember when he was
yeah.
18. And then he was like, I think it was a January transfer, if I'm not wrong. I could be mistaken. But then I don't know. I know he had two, three solid seasons. But the thing is, I don't know whether that was when he was 19 or
He,
20.
he was his first breakout season at Tottenham. He was 19. It was 2015, 2016.
Yeah, but like the good
Um,
one, the one when he scored 18 league goals, he was
Yeah,
20. So like I don't know.
yes,
yeah,
that's
Yeah.
exactly.
so,
That's what I'm
so I
thinking.
think I think that's part of the reason that they included him as well is, put
Who
him
included
ninth
him, by the
because
way?
Again, Dior. So he's off to a flying start with Hesse and Dele Alli. I don't think Dele Alli is a bad shout. I mean, he was a great, really, really,
Yeah.
really strong player. As you said, the problem
And
is he just
who was
had
the other one with 2 points?
Pedri, who was
Pedri? Okay.
included by your friend Alessandro. I'm gonna
Yeah.
be honest, I almost included Pedri in my list. He was like one of those players right outside the top 10, and it's
He was a
purely
contender.
because
Yeah,
he was not only great for Barcelona as a team. I'm thinking like that first season he played with Messi, he was crazy. I think he was
yeah,
18 or something like that. But then also for Spain, I mean, we're
yeah,
talking Euro 2020/2021 and also the Olympics. He was so
yeah,
young, very good. He was on the cusp for me.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
I
agree.
agree. I mean, if Spain goes on to win that Euros in 2020, I do think he would be at my list, but
Hmm.
yeah, I mean they didn't win, so that also does count for something.
Yeah,
But yeah, this is a it's a harsh competition. These are fine margins. I think you, at the end of the day, both those players are great. I'm surprised Pedri didn't get more votes, also just because of our general
mm,
age bracket. But
yeah,
it's harsh. It's hard to fit everyone in.
yeah.
Um,
No, I agree. I agree. I think also like at least for me, in a weird way, although they're distinct players, I just for some reason it's always so easy for me to group Gabby and Pedri together. Like I almost see them as one player just because they had just like I understand Gabby was like oh Gavi sorry was like Barcelona born and bred right. Pedri obviously came from Las Palmas, but I don't know. For me, they seem to have such parallels. I mean, also because they were playing for Barcelona at the same time, or both playing for Spain at the same time. Albeit Pedri is a little bit older, but yeah, that for me was a really tricky one, like trying to distinguish. But anyways, I'm sure Gabby will appear on this list. I really would be surprised if he
yeah,
wasn't, but we'll see, we'll see. But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
yeah. You definitely see La Masia coming out strong throughout all these players. I'm just going to tell you guys that now there's a lot of La Masia influence, and I think there's some that have been omitted, like even Kubarsi. I don't think it would have been an insane thing to put him. Maybe he's still got to prove himself a bit more, but
Hmm.
yeah, they always show out. So speaking of La Masia, going up to those, I guess, tied for 21st. There's three, but they're joint 13th overall on the rankings. Are three players with 4 points, who are Alexandra Pato, who was put in by one person, which was my brother, who put him relatively higher. My brother's a little older than us, and it makes sense that Pato would be one of those standout players for him. Mario Götze, who was included by two people, being myself and Dior. And then finally, Cesc Fabregas, who is in three people's lists. So I don't know which one of those we want to start with. What do you guys think?
I mean,
Which
I
one did you say,
think Goods,
Pato?
yeah, Pato, I'm not sure. The only reason I would say that I wouldn't include him is because he actually turned 20 in about 2009. So, like, that was like really soon in his career. So, before
Yeah,
he had those standout performances. So, that's the thing. Like, the semantics of this list, like, really factored into my decision making. Otherwise, he would be quite high up. Goods,
Yeah,
I think, is quite high. Like, I wouldn't expect him to be in the top 10. Like he was
yeah.
obviously great, but I don't know.
I can speak to that a little because this is the first one that one of us have had on our list. I put him 10th, so he was the very pole position. And again, 10th was hard to choose. I just gave
yeah,
it to him because he was so good at such a young age, got his debut for Dortmund, I think at like 16, 17 years old, and was already, a standout player alongside the likes of Lewandowski, Royce, and all of that. And then he continued that form going into the German national team. He just Yeah, if I had to consider for this, I strictly considered their teenage years, and for me, Goetze as a teen was absolutely nuts. So that's why I put him at 10th. I wanted to give him a little bit of flowers. Dior's
No,
German
that's
and
that's fair.
a
yeah,
Dortmund fan in terms of Bundesliga, which is why he put him in
yeah,
eighth to get 3 points. But yeah,
Yeah, I actually put Cesc was the first one that's come out of my list. So I put him 10th because by the age of 20, I think he played something like 65 or 70 games, like in an Arsenal shirt, which is
yep,
pretty insane. Like playing for such a big club. Obviously, he moved to Arsenal when he was about 16.
yeah,
I think he played in the 2006 World Cup with Spain, although Spain didn't perform great in
yeah,
that tournament.
yeah.
But yeah, I thought because of being such a young player in midfield in such a tough league like the Premier League, he deserved a shout for sure.
yeah. I had Cesc as well. The three who had him were myself, Pablo, and my brother Morgan. I had him in ninth. Pablo and my brother both had him in 10th. The same reasons you said. I mean, debut at 16, but also people forget he was captaining Arsenal as a teenager. Like he became, he was so good. He was captaining them as a teenager, and yeah, that's why I had to give him kudos for that. What do you think, Julian?
Yeah, no, honestly, just thinking about it, right? I'm also just thinking he didn't have a very big, throughout his entirety, not a very big stature. So, I mean, he was pulling the strings for an Arsenal team in the Premier League. There, I'd say like one of the most physical leagues in the world. And yeah, as I said, like I didn't even know he captain Arsenal. So that yeah is super commendable. And now it's making me rethink like
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
yeah
he was one of those like with the finer margins. What we're going to see with this list is around eighth, ninth, 10th. There's a little bit
yeah
of variation compared to the top ones, but
yeah.
yeah. So those are the ones that made it just outside. So moving on from Fabregas, Götze, and Pato. Next up, we have, and this is the largest joint number. We have four players joint for 21st or 13th, if you want to count it that way, with a total of 5 points. And those are Bojan Kirkic, uh, Jude Bellingham, Karim Benzema, and Erling Haaland. So I see a reaction from Pablo. Which one do you want to tackle first there? What's the initial thought?
So two of them I'm kind of quite against. The first one is Bojan Kirkic. Like I get that he was pretty good, like especially in the 2007-08 season, he had more goals than Messi in that season, right? I think he scored like 10, 11 league goals, something like that. But he also was playing for a Barcelona team that wasn't winning, right? Like when Barcelona started winning, he kind of had a more bit part role. So that's the
Yeah,
reasoning for me not putting him higher. He also was never capped for Spain. Like if he was that good, Spain would have taken him to the 2010 World Cup, and they
Yeah.
didn't. Another one that I'm kind of against is Haaland because the thing is, Haaland turned 20 in around 2020 sometime. I'm not sure the exact month. And that was like kind of when he just moved to Dortmund. Like sure, he had scored some goals with Dortmund, but he hadn't really set the stage alight like he did later. So those are the two main ones I have some gripes with. The other two were Benzema and who was the fourth one?
Bellingham.
Bellingham, it makes a lot more sense. I actually thought about including him in my list. Obviously, phenomenal player by the age of 20. Even look at what he did in the 2022 World Cup. He had a pretty key role there for England, which could have knocked out France if that game had gone slightly differently, right? Benzema, I don't know too much about him before the age of 20. I know he was still at Lyon, so I
Yeah.
can't really speak to as much. But
So
yeah,
I'm
that's
I'm
those
gonna
are
let
my
I'm
thoughts.
gonna let Julian get into Bellingham in a second because he had him on his list. But the only one who included Benzema was my brother Morgan once again, and I think he didn't get to send me an explanation, and he also was not clear. He unfortunately didn't get to specify like the ranking of his list. But Benzema, yeah, I think he was giving him his kudos because of his breakout at Lyon. I mean, it was later teens. I think he was starting by the time he was 18, and then that crazy first season crazy breakout season he had at Lyon, he was 19. And that's why he gave him his kudos because he went to Real Madrid right after that. All right, Julian, you want to tell us about Bellingham and why you put him in 10th?
Well, I don't know. For me, Bellingham had the similar kind of impact to Cesc, but in Borussia, right? And I understand that the Bundesliga is not as strong as the Premier League. Maybe, yeah, not a uncontroversial opinion to have. But for me, I think Bellingham, the way he sort of yeah joined Borussia, took it upon himself in his first season. He was Bundesliga Player of the Year nominee, right? Didn't win it, but in the second season he ultimately did win it. And I just think, or in his third season, sorry, and I just think that he was able to almost single-handedly carry Borussia Dortmund to that title. And I don't know whether that's beyond 20 though. That is my
Mm,
thing. I don't know whether it's included, but even still, I would think that I
mm,
mean, he made like must have been over 100 to maybe 150 to maybe even 200 appearances by the time he was
yeah.
20. This is football, first team football. Yeah, I understand Birmingham were in the second or third division, but I just think the amount of game time he had and the amount of influence he's been able to put forth on these football games and on these teams has just been immense. I mean, also for England as well. Yeah, albeit a bit more recent, but yeah,
To
for
be fair,
me.
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, I was just gonna say for me, he really warrants a high. I think just because also, when you see him play, you see the impact he has, and that's for me why I have him a bit well within the top 10. And I will just say actually now, it's a good argument about Holland actually, because honestly, I think there was a delay in my timeline for Holland as well, man. Yeah, you're completely right. It was
Well,
in only turning 20 and like
mm,
the end of his first half season at Borussia. So um, yeah,
Holland, I actually kind of get, even though I didn't include him on my list. Just to defend him a little bit, I partially agree with Pablo, but the thing is, Holland, he's born in 2000, like summer 2000, and his breakouts with Salzburg was I remember like 2019, 2020, and then the second half of that season he went to Dortmund. And to
yeah,
be fair, even though it's only one season as a 19-year-old, I mean, he scored an absurd number of goals with
yeah,
these teams, not only in the league, but also in the Champions League. I mean, I remember
yeah,
when he was 19, he was scoring hat tricks in the Champions League. He had like
yeah,
some crazy statistics. He had more goals than matches while
yeah,
playing for Salzburg. So I kind of get the shout.
yeah,
But
yeah, no, sure. But I mean, what's I'm interested to hear why you guys think Jude Bellingham did more in a top 10 list. Was it more just there are other players that are better, or
I
you just
I
I think
didn't
there are other players
yeah,
that were more impactful. I mean, Bellingham was good. Also, what people forget about Bellingham is that he had two tournaments before turning the age of 20 at international level, right? Like where
yeah, that's
he
crazy.
played like a role in there. I mean, in 2020, he didn't play like the biggest role, but he was still
yeah,
like there. He was still playing, you know.
yeah.
So that's quite. But what do you guys think about Bojan? Because like that's the one that I was a bit shocked by. I don't know.
I don't really want to entertain it. I mean, I just think he like
I mean, he
I
was
mean
supposed to
remember
be extremely high potential. I remember he was like the same like La Masia generation as Messi, right? And
yeah, yeah,
at the time, to be fair, everyone was saying on a technical level that he was like the most insane one. They were talking about him
yeah,
and saying he was going to be, the next big thing. So I kind of get it on a technical level. The problem with Boyan, I don't want to factor in his career after he was a
yeah,
teen, but he's one of those
yeah,
that like there was so much hype.
yeah.
But
I
just
mean, to be fair,
yeah,
man, Stoke City is a great ceiling to have. It's
yeah,
one of the
no,
best ones.
but yeah. So Boyan, I didn't have him. I wouldn't have thought of him, but if you're looking at the 2000s, I like it's not the most insane shout. I just wouldn't include him personally.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's not as crazy as Jose Rodriguez.
But yeah, Boyan, Bellingham, Benzema, and Haaland. So those are the ones that, yeah, are tied for joint 12,
Right.
5 points total. Next is an interesting one, and I think finally we're going to get into a good topic of discussion for this specific trio hosting the podcast today. We have a joint 11th, or technically like 16th, if you want to go based off of that ordering. Both players are on 6 points, one of which got all six of his points from being placed in one person's list, like pretty high. The other one got his points spread out across a couple different people, and those are Donnarumma and Kluivert. So Julian, you had Kluivert in your list, and
I
you're the one who
did.
gave
I
him all
did.
of his points. So I'm curious to
Okay,
hear you
bro,
sell them to
for
us.
me,
Sell me this
yeah,
pen.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, 100%. I mean, Hoiberg for me, right? Two outstanding seasons in the Eredivisie. Yes, I get it's the Eredivisie, but still, for that to be playing on that Ajax team during the 90s, right, and be spearheading their attack, and then on top of that, winning the Champions League and the league double, right, and also scoring the winning goal in the Champions League final. As an 18-year-old
Right.
year old for me, I was just looking at the other players and I was like, damn, that is an incredible amount of impact. And maybe five is too high. I'd argue with that. But I mean, most definitely for me, a top 10 player. So I'm surprised that I'm the only one who put him on on their list. I mean, did anyone else put him on
To
their
be
list?
I,
clear,
I have
Pablo had him and then removed him.
Okay.
I
Okay.
No,
had him on my
Pablo,
list, but then
yeah,
I forgot a pretty significant player that so I had to make some changes. I mean, the same reasoning as you, right? I just looked
Yeah.
it up now, but by the
Yeah.
time Clivert turned 20, he had 45 senior goals.
yeah,
That's
that's insane.
pretty insane.
Yeah.
Especially and this factors into my list going forward, but I when it comes to goal scoring at least, I put more weight on goals that were scored in the past than goals that were
Yeah.
scored now. because it's a lot easier to score right now. Like for example, Ciro Immobile hit 36 goals in Serie A. There's no way he's doing that in the 90s. Like it was
That's
harder
just
to score.
such a
And
stray.
also that, and the Eredivisie was also a more competitive league in the 90s. Like the fact that they were winning the Champions League and going far into tournaments. So I
Yeah,
had him ninth, I think, originally, but then because of one player that we're gonna get into later, I just had to like demote him, unfortunately. But
yeah,
he's an amazing player. I mean, he hasn't had a great
yeah,
career after that. Then
Yeah.
just quickly to segue into Donnarumma, I mean, I think Donnarumma, he was a starter at 16 in
Yeah.
Serie A for one of the lar biggest teams in
18.
Serie A. Like he
Yeah,
was on the cusp for me. He was like 11th or 12th,
yeah,
but he was insane. I mean, the thing is he wasn't world class at that time. Anytime throughout his teens, I would argue probably wasn't world class, but he was still starting for one of the biggest teams in the world, which it brings a lot of pressure. So I agree with both of these. I mean, Cliver being fifth might be a little high, but I agree with both of these being contenders. What do you guys think?
Yeah, so I was gonna say two things. Firstly, just to jump back to Clivert quickly. I mean, I just looked it up because I didn't want to say something that was false, but Clivert was at the time youngest European Cup final scorer with the late winner against Milan in 1995. That's pretty insane. 18 years old, scoring
yeah. A winner.
a cup winner against Milan is absolutely
Yeah,
nuts. And for that
yeah,
alone, I mean, yeah, that's aura farming from Clivert there. But apart from the stats that Julian mentioned, obviously very good player, playing in the Eredivisie. Donnarumma, so I'm just gonna say I didn't include any goalkeepers on my list. But if I had, Donnarumma would have been the go-to one. I mean, the fact that not only was he playing at 16, 17 already as a starter for one of the most important teams in Italy and in Europe, like historically, it's also the fact that goalkeepers typically are still thought of as young when they're like 25, 26. And he was doing this a decade before that, which is absolutely nuts. So I think it's very valid to include him in a teen list.
But
no,
why didn't you include goalkeepers? Because for me, being a goalkeeper at like a teen when you're a teen is even harder than being an outfield player. Because if you're a striker and you miss a goal, no one's gonna complain about that. But if you're a goalkeeper and you let in a howler, that could ruin your career. Like there's a lot of goalkeepers that were young and inexperienced and kind of made these mistakes. So for me, it was proportionally like it gets harder as you go up the field. So or easier as you get up the field. So being the goalkeeper for me is the hardest position to excel. Defender, second hardest, midfielder, and then I think a striker. I'm not saying it's easy to be a striker when you're under 20, but it's easier because you normally are given more of the benefit of the doubt than the other
Right.
positions.
No,
So what was your rationale behind not having goalkeepers?
no, that's a fair question. I just like, if I was going to include one, he was the only one that came to mind. I mean, I guess you could say that, well, we'll get into another player that's going to be probably on this list later, a certain Spanish goalkeeper. But um, my whole thought was when I was doing my list, and I did my list before receiving everyone else's to try and make sure I wouldn't be influenced by other factors. I just genuinely didn't weigh goalkeepers the same way. Maybe that's a bias against them. I mean I might have been an unspoken bias, but I just think of it as almost a different game when I'm trying to think of playing as a teenager with like you're still growing into your body and competing in the outfield. It's just very different to goalkeepers, and that's why I omitted them. But again, I think it's totally valid, all the points you guys are making.
I mean, when we're talking about goalkeepers, I don't think he's on the list, but the guy in my background here, Gianluigi Buffon, this
Yep.
photo is from his debut with the Italian national team, which was at a playoff to qualify for the 1998 World Cup when he was 19 years old. Like that's pretty crazy. And he helped bring us to the World Cup. So yeah, I guess it just depends on how you view these things.
Yeah, totally fair. Yeah, so moving on from Donnarumma and Kluivert. We have a joint 10th, and there's two players here that are huge names, but it's interesting because these players both got all of their points from individuals who ranked them extremely highly on their lists. So they were only present on 1 out of 7 lists each, respectively, and got all their points from there. Uh, I'm going to say the more shocking one first, so we'll address it and then we'll get into the second one. The first one is Manuel Neuer, was included on one person's list, got 7 points. I can see Pablo having a visceral reaction there. Um, And then the second one is actually surprisingly CR7, Cristiano Ronaldo, who I honestly thought would be on many more people's lists, but was only on your friend Pablo Alessandro's list, and he had him high. He had him in fourth. So yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna start with this, and I just Googled Neuer, and he had never played a minute of senior football. He played by the time he was 20, he only played with the reserve team of Schalke 2. So like, I'm
Bro,
sorry,
he's
but
on the same level as Hesse, bro. They come from the
I
same
can't
cloth,
or
man.
not even like I can't argue him like being in the. I don't think he has a place in this list. I mean, he's a great goalkeeper, maybe the best ever, but he's definitely not supposed to be on this list, in my opinion.
I
I
think
mean,
they're
unless you consider Schalke 2 to be like the best team in the world, but I don't. So
there might have been a misunderstanding from the person that put Neuer that high on their list. But again, it was only one person that contributed to the list who put it up there, and they're not there to they're not here to defend themselves. So I don't want to put them on on blast, so to speak. But I think the more interesting topic is CR7, right? Because Cristiano Ronaldo, I mean, Julian's a Manchester United fan. You can definitely speak to this, but I'm very surprised that he only made it onto one person's list.
Well, I mean, personally, from I think Ronaldo when he first came, right? Obviously, a lot of hype around him, but man, as like I don't know, as Ferguson and so many other like yeah, just people have said he was so raw, right? He lacked that sort of finishing touch that he's so well known for now. And so I think back then, I mean, when he was a teenager, he was still getting to grips with the physicality of the Premier League, joining an elite level team. Not to say anything bad about Sporting, but I mean, it was a completely change of scenery and everything. And I don't know whether he hit the levels to warrant his inclusion in the list as a teenager. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he basically went ballistic, right? Maybe when he was 20, 21, 22. And I just think as a teenager, just didn't quite do enough to warrant a place in my list. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, I did think he would be more common, maybe in like the higher rankings. I personally wouldn't put him. I didn't put him in my top 10. I did probably put him in my top 15. I think the excitement, like a lot of what we're talking about is performance and, like output. But I do think Ronaldo, in terms of that flair and that excitement, even when he was a teen, I would give him points for that because he was just a lot of fun to watch before he became refined.
I,
But
I okay, this might be a left field opinion, but honestly, I would say, right, and this
okay,
is this is heavy. This is real heavy. But I would say Garnacho and Ronaldo had the
okay.
same level of teenage impact on their teams.
you can't
Um,
say that though, because first of all, Garnacho is like 21 now. So when he was 19, he didn't have the same level of impact at United, right?
No, I'm comparing to Ronaldo's impact at United when he was 19. I think they had very similar impacts and were
but
very similar players at that age. Like Garnacho didn't have the output, and Ronaldo didn't have the output back then as well. I think they were offering the same things to the same team. But sorry, I don't want to
I
get.
mean, the thing is, for me, he was on the cusp. The reason why I didn't include him is twofold, right? The first reason is that when he first came to United, United wasn't really winning the league, right? It was those years in between like league titles. So he didn't contribute to that as a teenager because
Yeah,
the two seasons when he was a teenager was the invincible Arsenal season and then that season where Chelsea kind of destroyed everyone under Jose.
yeah,
The reason why I almost did include him though is because he did make the Euros final in 2004
yes,
with Portugal. Like that's a big point that I think
yeah,
probably people don't think about. The reason,
yeah,
but then again, Portugal did lose against Greece, right? So
yeah.
that's also a point that you kind of have to hold against them a little bit because Greece isn't known as being the greatest team, and that was kind of a very shocking result. But Ronaldo, and I had looked this up when I was researching this video. Ronaldo was in the team of the tournament in that Euros, so he did have a pretty significant contribution. But the reason that I didn't put him is just because the people that are on top of him, I think, deserve it more for their
Yeah,
achievements as teenagers, and we'll get
yeah.
into that later.
I mean, the one thing about Ronaldo, though, and I will admit I have had a little Google search here, is the number of games he was playing at 18, 19 that I'm looking at for United right now is pretty fucking wild. I mean, I'm seeing 40 games played. and 50
Yeah.
games played. Like that's
Well, I
absolutely
think a lot of
nuts.
those were coming off the bench though.
That's
Who
true.
like,
Yeah.
still extremely
And the
respectable.
thing is that
So
the all other players that are coming up have also played more games than that. We'll
Yeah,
see.
you can make the same case for Pedri. I mean, Pedri played an
Yeah.
absurd number of games as an 18-year-old. But yeah, so Ronaldo doesn't make it, but again, 7 points and Manuel Neuer with 7 points. All right, now getting into the top 10, we've got one player who's standing alone, was included on two people's lists in sixth and in eighth, and that is Casillas. So Pablo, you were the one who put Casillas in sixth on your list. Alessandro was the one who put Casillas in eighth on his list to give him a combined total of 8 points. Tell us about Casillas.
So I'm gonna be honest, I'd actually forgotten about Casillas, but I did see Ali's list, and then I remember that he had been a very precocious talent. And just to give you an example of his precocious talent, he started in the 2000 Champions League final when Real Madrid beat I want to say
Russia, Russia,
I
I
don't
think.
know who they. I don't know. It was like maybe bro. Anyway, maybe it was Valencia. Let me check. But they won the Champions League final with him in goal as a 19-year-old, which is pretty insane, honestly. So I had to put him for that. Yeah, I mean they beat Valencia. I'm just checked on penalties as well, I think, which makes it even more impressive because it means that he stood up when it mattered. But other than that, I mean Casillas had played, I think, like two seasons, but before he turned 22 full seasons of about 38 games for one of the biggest clubs in the world. And so, as we're saying, right, for me, it's harder to be a goalkeeper at a younger age because there's a whole lot of pressure. The pressure is even higher when you're playing for the biggest club in history, right? So I had to give him some flowers because of that. I don't believe that he was playing yet for the national team in Euro 2000. If someone wants to fact check that, I think that was someone else at that time. But the fact that he was starting Champions League finals and playing for the biggest club in the world, that makes him sixth position for me
Yeah, I
at that
think
age.
that's fair. Again, I omitted goalkeepers, which may or may not, whether that's fair or not is up to viewers. But looking at the stats and hearing what you've described, I mean, playing two full seasons as the starting goalkeeper for Real Madrid at 18 and 19 years old and winning Champions League is pretty nuts. I think that's a valid reason to put any player in there.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. I mean, not to mention, I think that's a double as well, right? It was a Champions League and league double. And if not that, then I'm sure Real Madrid won the year before.
It wasn't in 2000, 99, 2000, no, because Deportivo La Coruña won, but
Oh yeah,
2000, 2001, Real Madrid did win it. So he won a league and
and a
a
Champions
Champions
League.
League before the age of 20. He played 23 games in the Champions League as well, which
Yeah,
is, a lot of players would
crazy.
be happy to do that in their whole career, right?
Exactly, exactly.
And
Plus, I
then
mean, back then as well, right? I mean, it's not the same format as today. Sorry to just cut you off. Like there were only so many matches, right? So I mean, if you compare that, like those achievements, even more so. Yeah. So
Yeah, and he was called up to Euro 2000, even though he didn't play. So like that doesn't really count, but still, like he was in the
yeah.
conversation for the team. So not much more to say. I mean, Casillas was a legend,
Mate,
you know?
I think it's a great shot. Honestly, I feel like I look like a fool now for putting Donnarumma over Casillas because actually I
Yeah,
think Casillas is the number one teenage goalkeeper based on that.
that's that's what I'm thinking as well. I was just saying that if I was going to include a goalkeeper, it would have been Donnarumma. But hearing these arguments, I mean, I think you can make it more of a case for Casillas based
I
off,
mean, my rationale was just that
Yeah,
you also have to count like where they played, right? Like playing for
yeah,
Real Madrid, in my opinion, is significantly harder than playing for Milan,
yeah,
especially a Milan that was like, sixth slash seventh back then, whilst Real
yeah,
Madrid they're
yeah,
always one of the best teams, right?
yeah,
The
Mhm.
pressure is a lot higher.
yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely. Um, yeah, so moving on, the next jump is I guess the first bigger jump we've seen so far. These have all been jumps from about 2 points, 1 point, going from 10th to a joint eighth, I guess you would say, or the players eight and nine on the list since they share the position. They have 13 points total, and it is Delict and Raul. So this is going to be an interesting discussion because these players are included on people's lists. They're definitely been highly rewarded. The first one I want to get into is Raul because Pablo's put Raul at second on his list. So believing that he is the second greatest teenage player since 1990. And Ale also had him fairly high. He had him in seventh place. And you guys were the only ones who had him in. So he got the vast majority of his points from Pablo and 4 points from Alessandro as well.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just start it off by saying that I'm astounded that he's not on anyone else's list. I mean, just look up Raul's stats real quick. He first of all, like this goes back to my point that playing for Real Madrid is a lot harder than playing for any other team because of the pressure associated. Second point is that scoring goals in the 90s for me carries a lot more weight than scoring goals now, right? That being said, look at Raul's stats. Like he turned 20 in about 1997, like May or June of 1997. His stats are disgusting. Like he scored about like 50 or 50 league goals for Real Madrid during that time.
Yeah.
And you know, like that's just and I don't want to be like a goal assist merchant. Like I'm not saying that's the only thing, but he was a starting striker for Real Madrid when he was 17. Like this guy was like right out of GCSEs and he was like scoring goals for Real Madrid. And also he actually played for the Atletico Madrid academy. Like this is a not very well-known fact. And the only reason he actually went to Real Madrid is because the Atletico president closed down the academy because he thought it was a waste of money at the time. And so he
Wow.
went to Real Madrid. I mean, I'm surprised. I put him second, and for me, the only differentiator between him and Mbappe was that he didn't do anything in international tournaments by that age.
Yeah.
If he had had a good tournament, I would have put him first, to be honest, because I think scoring those goals for Real Madrid carries significantly more weight than scoring them for PSG. The only reason I put Mbappe is because I mean Mbappe had an insane 2018 World Cup where he was maybe the best player of the tournament. So I'm surprised that no one else put him on his list
No,
because he was just
yeah.
insane.
I
Yeah.
think you're spitting just to respond to that real quick. Again, as the one who was collecting the lists and like doing the aggregate list, I told myself from the outset I would do my 10 and then not change it no matter what because I didn't want to be impacted from the other ones. But I will say, and I was trying not to give anything up to Pablo via message, but once I saw Raul and looked into it, I thought, damn, I definitely should have included him on my list. Everything you just said is insane. It's funny because Rowe was such a known name, like a household name, especially like not just for the 90s, but also the 2000s and even the late 2000s when he was older playing for Real Madrid. But
Yeah.
I'd never realized at what point he was good as a teen. Like it never, I don't know, maybe that's just a part of history I wasn't aware of in terms of footballing
Yeah.
history, but yeah, absolutely nuts. Starting for Real Madrid at 17, 18 and bagging as many goals as he did is
Yeah.
crazy.
It is. It is. No, I have to agree, man. It really opened the light. I don't know whether I put him second,
I wouldn't
but
put
like
him,
I would say
yeah,
top five for sure. Like,
yeah.
oh, Pablo's definitely yeah, top
I mean,
five for
I
me.
almost put him first, man. Like as I said, like I mean, tw like 50 league goals by the age of 20 in like for
Yeah,
in the best team in the world. I mean, anyway, yeah.
yeah,
But it's
yeah,
then what about Delict? Because I put Delict fifth, I think.
So I put him quite high as well. I put him eighth. Delict, well, not quite as high as you, but let's see. A couple people had Delict in there. I think three of us. So myself having him in eighth, Pablo having him in fifth, and Dior having him in seventh. Um, Yeah, Delict, I mean, what is there to say? The three of us lived in Amsterdam, went to university there.
yeah,
Delict, for me, as a teenager, obviously he was an older teenager, especially, 18, 19, older
yeah,
teenager. But being 19, captaining Ajax, like bringing them to as far as they went in the
yeah,
Champions League is just
yeah,
absolutely insane. And he was unbelievable that tournament. He was one of the best defenders like in the
yeah,
tournament at that
Yeah.
point, arguably the world.
yeah,
For me, he had to be included.
I mean, also the charisma he had at such a young age, right? Like being
yeah,
the captain, leading chants, like
exactly.
really like showing that personality. He
Yeah,
also captained the Netherlands before turning 20, which for me is insane, like in the final of the Nations League. So it was like a couple months before he turned 20, but nonetheless, that's quite impressive.
it
And
is.
then for me, it was also the fact that he didn't really have the chance to shine at an international tournament because the Netherlands didn't make the World Cup in 2018, so we can't really put that on him as much. But he moved to Juventus before he turned 20 for about 75 million euros, right?
I think it
So I
was
also
just
factored that
before.
in my decision making. Yeah, so I counted that in
Yeah,
my decision making. And also the fact that for me, being a defender at 19 is harder than being a striker at 19. Like I just
yeah,
had to put him high up, right?
yeah. No, I'd have to
What do
agree
you
with
think,
that.
Julian? Your current
I
Man
mean,
United star, you know?
man, I mean,
Actually has
okay,
been good this season as well.
yeah, and I would say that honestly, I'm actually he's probably the first player where I'm content with the aggregate position of him because like this is what he's 10th or ninth, and
Yeah, he's joint ninth,
joint
joint like
ninth.
eighth, ninth.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I think that's like for me personally, I feel like that's spot on. Like based on his achievements, right? Because I think there are definitely a few that are better than him, right? But in terms of like impact and like ability at the age that he was, right, captaining the Ajax side at 18, like and all that, I think I'm very happy with his place at ninth, especially when you take into account Pablo's sort of consideration, right, where the lower you get on the pitch, the more impact you need to, or the more your impact should be valued, which honestly I agree with. So yeah, man,
Yeah.
honestly, no real complaints. I think it's solid. And Raul, yeah, definitely should have been higher. I'll
Yeah.
have to throw
Should
my
have had
hat
him
in the
in my
mirror and
list.
say,
It's one
yeah,
of those.
next to this guy,
Yeah.
top five. But yeah, anyways, yeah,
It's one last thing on Delict. I'm just looking at the list now and I'm realizing, excluding goalkeepers, um, he's the only defender that we have, or let's say backline player that we have in this list, and that deserves massive props. This list was always going to be sort of, let's say, attacking slash, offensive minded players heavy. But the fact that he's in there as the standalone center back when he's competing with, there have been a lot of good young center backs is, got to give him his kudos for that.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if it had been like from the 80s onward, I definitely would have put
Yes,
like Paolo Maldini in the
Maldini.
top 10.
Yeah,
So that
agreed.
because he was starting when he was like 18, 19 for Milan. But yeah, I mean, the league just shows how difficult it is for a defender to stand out. I mean, maybe you mentioned at the beginning Kubarsi could be in this kind of list in a couple of years if he keeps that level high. But for now, it's just he's too raw, you know, like I need to
Yeah.
see more from him.
And this does remind me, actually, as a little bit of a tangent. I had forgot to mention, but my brother explicitly asked me when he sent me his list. He said, I'm obviously not including him, but an honorable mention, and it's one of his favorite players of all time, if not his favorite player of all time, is Kurt Zuma. My brother loves Kurt Zuma. He was way ahead of the Kurt Zuma train. He didn't put him on his list, but he wanted to well, give him, I'm just on the topic of defenders, he wanted to give him a shout out for being an unbelievable teenager, Saint Etienne and then Chelsea. So yeah, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that.
oh.
That's fair, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily put him in the
Yeah,
list, like,
just,
He
but
did, to be fair, you guys, it's his one of his all-time favorite players. He loves Kurt Zuma. He was obsessed with him back in like 2013, 2014, those days when he was
no,
a
but he was
young.
fantastic, a great
And
player for
so I just
sure.
thought I'd mention him. He's not anywhere in here. He hasn't received a single point, but he asked me to mention that. So moving on, we're really getting into the high points territory here. So this is a pretty significant jump, by far the biggest jump we've had so far. From Casillas to Rowe and Delict, it was a 5 point jump from 8 points to 13 points. Now the next player has 29 points. So this player was a pretty consistent member and in quite a few lists. And that is none other than Michael Owen. So I'm gonna get the ball rolling here just because this is a player that I have in my list. I put him fourth. Um
same.
yeah, so actually, fascinatingly enough, I'm looking at it now, and all three of us have Michael Owen in fourth place. So all
Wow.
the three of us here have Michael Owen in fourth place. Ale has Michael Owen in third place. So that's where he got his points. He wasn't included in three of the other people's lists, but he was in the top four of four people's lists. And I just want to say on Michael Owen, I think granted, I might know this because I'm a Premier League fan, but I think a lot of people don't realize how young he was and how good he was in the 90s. I mean, he finished third in the Ballon d'Or race as an 18-year-old. He scored just in Premier League, not even including goals in all competitions, he scored 18 goals back to back as an 18-year-old and as a 19-year-old. It was
Top
an
scorer as
absolute,
well. Top
yeah,
scorer.
top scorer, absolute
Yeah,
menace.
yeah,
In the
And
World Cup as well.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, as well. Like the rest of his career is something we don't even need to get into. But for me, when you
yeah,
talk about a teenager, outside of a couple of the names that we're going to talk about later in the list, he was the first one. Outside of three people for me, he was the first one that came to mind as an absolute gunman as a
yeah,
teenager.
yeah, 100%. He was actually like when we first discussed this topic, he was like top one because I had honestly sort of like blurred the lines between when he won that Ballon d'Or, and I think it was when he was 21, if I'm not
Yes.
wrong.
So he won the
Uh,
Ballon d'Or after
Yeah, because
after
in
in
my
his
mind, for
20s.
some reason, he won it when he was 19, but then obviously checked that. But even so, I mean, just the fact that like I was having that thought, I was like, yeah, he's got to be up there. It's not even a question. Yeah, Pablo.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, what you guys have said, right? Scoring 18 goals back to back, being the Premier League top scorer. Like, the Premier League also wasn't maybe the best league in the world back then, but it was still second or third at least.
Mhm.
Just having that goal scoring World Cup, even though, it is probably a little bit inflated by England fans, right? But obviously that was great stuff. He'd scored about 50 senior goals by the age of 20, which is insane considering the league that he's playing in, right?
British
Uh,
Raoul, bro.
so
British Raoul. Sorry to
That's
interrupt.
kind
yeah, I
of
mean not
similar,
not
yeah.
quite at the level of Raul in my opinion,
I mean,
but
you had him fourth, so
almost.
you had him close, to be
Yeah, I
fair.
had him close. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, Michael Owen, yeah, I had to give him his flowers. I mean, not even necessarily like a favorite player of mine by any means. But I just had to give him, at least if we're talking about teenage players, he's one of the first ones that jumps off the paper to me.
yeah. Can agree more.
Yeah. So 29 points for Michael Owen there. And the next person in sixth place has two more points than him. So very fine margins as we get into this section of the list. And that is none other than Wayne Rooney, Skinhead Rooney,
Skinhead Rooney,
an
baby.
absolute icon of the game. Julian, I'm gonna let you kick this one off. You're a United fan. I want to hear you give Rooney his plaudits.
Yeah,
You,
I mean, come on, like it's goaded, bro. His teenage years. I mean, you just look at all the various events I was talking like breaking Arsenal's invincibles, right, with that outrageous goal. Euros 2004, man, top scorer there, England's best player. Sorry, not top scorer. Oh, maybe top scorer for England. I know that for sure. But yeah, England's best player by a long shot, only to be done by bootleg Garnacho. Yeah, but bootleg teenage Garnacho. Sorry, but yeah, then obviously coming to United, having the impact that he did. I mean, um, hat trick on his Champions League debut. I mean, it was just stunning. The quality that he had for an 18-year-old to come into that United side and just hit the ground running. I mean, yeah, no superlatives, really. I don't know if you
yeah,
guys have anything
no, I
else.
mean, not just everything you just said, but not just that. The fact that he did it at so young. I mean, he was starting
Yeah,
for Everton as a 16-year-old is
yeah,
what I'm seeing here, and that's
yeah. It's true.
absolutely insane. And he's one of those ones on this list where, we have a lot of technical players that we've been talking about, or these sort of like fancy players. He's the complete different archetype of that. I mean, he was a full-grown man, like what you would expect of a 28-year-old by the time he was 16, 17. Absolute bully on the ball. And yeah, everything you said. I mean, goal threats, creative. Yeah,
Yeah.
gotta give him
He
his
was able
credits.
to grab the games with the scruff by the scruff of the neck. Like when I hear that term, bro, I think of Rooney, bro, because he just by sheer willpower, just sheer physicality, bro, he was gonna
Yeah,
like drag the
No,
team to
that's
victory.
true. I put him a little bit lower than you guys. I actually had him in ninth just because I think the players above him deserved it a bit more. But his stats are pretty good. I mean, obviously, like again, I he played most of the time for Everton before he was 20. He played one season for United, so that did factor a bit in my decision making. He also played for United when they weren't winning. They didn't win the league that first season because it was again the Chelsea season where they dominated. So he didn't lead them as a teenager to titles, unlike some of the other players that I had higher up. But something that is remarkable when I did some research, I found out is that he had 11 England goals by the age of 20, right? Like
that's
11
insane.
senior goals for the English national team, which that is really high. I mean, I don't know if maybe Mbappe tops that with France. I'm not sure, to be honest. We need to
Yeah,
look into that. But even if not, like that's pretty close, right? Like it's quite an
yeah,
insane feat at that age. So
it
I
is.
would say, yeah, like he was exceptional. But just I have a few players that I think were slightly higher. But his raw like power at that age, I've not really seen anything like that for from a
Mm.
striker.
Yeah.
And I forgot to mention, but looking at it now, he's actually the first player that we've encountered that's on every single list. So he was made it into the top 10 for every single person. And where he landed on our overall top 10 is right around the aggregate. So people having him in seventh, ninth, sixth, fifth, fourth. Yeah. So he's landed pretty much exactly where you would expect, and it's nice to see a player of his quality and importance to England and the Premier League get as much love as he did.
Yeah.
So now we're finally getting into the top five, and I can tell you guys these are huge names. These are huge names, players that come to mind instantly. And the next one, right above Rooney in fifth, with only two more points. I'm gonna laugh when I say it because someone in this call doesn't have them in their list at all, which I thought was a little surprising. But it's none other than Neymar in fifth place.
Oh,
Actually, two people in this call don't
Yeah,
have him in their
I don't
list at
have
all.
I don't have him in my call, and
I
I
don't have
stand
I don't
by
have him
that, to
at
be
all
No,
as
we're
honest.
gonna get
well.
into it then. This is gonna be the first
Okay,
contentious
so
one.
so you
Neymar.
give your argument for him being in there, Jake, since you're the
Yeah,
only one that included him.
absolutely. So I had him in fifth. Just to give a little bit of preface, I had him in fifth. Pablo's friend Alessandro had him in fifth. The other Alessandro had him in sixth. Dior had him in third. My brother had him in third. So he's kind of spread out across these. Before I get into it, Julian, that was quite a visceral reaction. Do you think you just forgot him or
Well, no, maybe I just place too much emphasis on European football, right? Maybe that's a me problem. But I I remember when they were like, yeah, uh, everyone started hearing of him. I remember just watching YouTube clips and thinking like, this guy's insane, man. I've never seen a player so technical with his ability to glide by, and obviously winning the Puskas. I think that was also when he was must have been a teenager as
yeah.
well. And so yeah, all those instances make me think like, yeah, technically, maybe one of the most incredible teenagers we've seen. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like for me, it's just. I
So
don't know if he, yeah, warranted a spot on the list just because for me it was really about like impact in like a very competitive league. Not to say that the Brazil league is bad, but for me it was just yeah one of those things that was just personal preference. I don't know about you, Pablo or Jake.
I mean, my rationale behind it was that yeah, I do think the Brazilian league is not as strong as like most European leagues. Like even like the Eredivisie, I think is a stronger league, for example. Also, and another reasoning was that you see so many teenagers come out of Brazil, like Esteval, for example, scored like 15 league goals at like 17, right? Or
yeah.
Gabriel Jesus, Gabigol, right? Like there's so many. I'm not saying that Neymar was obviously a lot better than all of them, but I don't think it's as big of a litmus test as doing it in like a top European league. And then again, like a lot of Neymar's goals when he was younger were scored in like state championships, right? Like people that like to give Pele grief for scoring against farmers, you have to have the same you have to use the same yardstick to measure Neymar. That's my view.
So I'm gonna contend that, and I'm just gonna be honest. I know Brazil as a country is obviously a very important footballing country. I think produces maybe the best football like production in history in terms
Yeah,
of
yeah, no
quality.
doubt, no doubt.
Neymar, though, I got to disagree with you, Pablo. It's on a different level for me because apart from his performance, like it's one thing to talk about 17, 18, 19-year-old Neymar absolutely gliding on the pitch, as Julian mentioned, and
Yeah,
making professional defenders in the Brazilian league look like Sunday league players. That's one thing. Apart from that, I was doing my research before this because I was like, before I chose him on my list. And by the time he was 19 or in his 19th year, like he already had 40 senior goals in for Santos just in the league. That's excluding, I know you're criticizing the state league and the national cup, and I know it's a little complicated over there, but that's excluding those competitions. He already had 40 goals as a 19-year old just in the top division for Santos. And then if you count those other leagues, I mean, in 2010, when he was 18, he scored 42 goals in all competitions across 60 matches. The season after that at 19, 24 goals across 47 matches. For Brazil, by the time he was 19, he had 8 senior goals for like one of the most important national teams and big national teams in the world. For that reason, I had to put him up there. And in terms of, apart from that, obviously I'm going on a bit of soliloquy about him. Apart from that, just in terms of like hype, I think he might be one of, if not the most like hype
Yeah,
teenage footballers I've ever seen.
yeah,
So I had to give him points for that.
yeah. Probably you're muted.
Yeah, that's fair, but I mean, he wasn't called up for Brazil at the 2010 World Cup, for example. If he was that good, I feel like he would have gotten a call up, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, when you're trying to compete for spots for one of the consistent like top five, top three greatest national teams in the world, it's pretty, I think you can kind of
I
accept.
I would argue though that the Brazil team of 2010 did not have such a wealth of attackers available. So
That's true.
it's not that they like yeah, they already knew enough. It's also like yeah, he didn't get
But
onto a team that already yeah.
that's also on the coach, man. I mean, we're saying this, and when I've just after a quick Google, which I won't do all the time, the first thing that comes up for the 2010 World Cup is the headline saying Pele and Romario urge Brazil national coach to take Neymar to 2010 World Cup. That says it right there, man. Like you can't completely fault the player for not
Yeah,
qualifying when he had
yeah.
already
No,
been.
that's fair. That's fair. I mean, look, I don't think it's egregious to add. I definitely think it's egregious to put him at number three. I don't think it's egregious to add him to the list for sure. I
Mm.
do think Raul has had like a far more impactful teen career, for example. Like I still stand by that. And like most of the other players on the list, I think have demonstrated something more than Neymar. That being said, like he was in the conversation for sure. But like I don't regret not adding him to my list personally. Like I think the players above him have done something a little bit more.
So that's fair, but like guys, not even 10th. Like, I'm not trying to harp on this subject, but we're talking about Neymar Jr. here. Like, and
No,
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I agree with that. But like, you know, Casillas was starting Champions League finals.
yeah.
You know, Rooney, we've already just talked about him. Cesc Fabregas was like captaining Arsenal, right? Like, I'm not like the thing is, you could being 11th is still being a fantastic youth player,
no, I
right?
agree with that.
Michael Owen was scoring at World Cups and was scoring like two 20 league seasons in the Premier League, right?
Yeah.
Raul again scored like 56. So it's like just the players that I put above did like slightly more, right? But I mean, Neymar is definitely a top player, but I just think you have to keep the competitiveness of the Brazilian league in mind, at least for me.
Yeah, same here. Honestly, same. I would just echo what Pablo says. Like for me, in
Yeah.
some cases, he wasn't amazing. I would put him just maybe like top 15, but top 10 is reaching. I honestly, and top five is.
What?
Woo!
You think it's okay, well, you're definitely in the minority here. I mean, I
I
put
think
him,
top five is egregious,
I just
personally.
think top
guys,
five, you're just going off of vibes, bro. You're just going off
no,
of the clips that you've seen on YouTube growing up and the nostalgia
no.
around
I
it,
mean,
bro.
that's definitely a factor. I said again, one of the most hyped players, but it's interesting because I actually didn't used to like Neymar that much. He kind of aged well for me in retrospect. But
Yeah.
I mean, I put him fifth. Two people have him third. Another person has him fifth. Another person has him sixth. So it's it's the peanut gallery over here that doesn't have him in their list that are clashing the fifth place
So,
position. If we had any other member, they would be backing this. So,
But
anyways,
we have more ball knowledge, you know, like Julian
that's a
had
crazy
Patrick
statement.
Kluivert in there. Like Patrick Kluivert
Yeah,
was a
but
great
Neymar did.
shout, you
Yeah,
know.
Kluivert is a great shout, but if we're talking about like, dude, like 3 seasons as a teen, I don't know, 17, 18, 19 being as good as you are. Anyways, we don't have to get bogged down on Neymar too long. This was to be
yeah,
expected as we enter the top five list, but
yeah, yeah.
that's where he ended up. That's where he ended up on the combined list. In fourth place, a player with 3 more points than him and a huge household name is Lionel Messi. So Messi was on everyone's list except for Dior. But to be fair, Dior did preface saying he didn't include Cristiano or Messi. I'm sure he would have put him because Dior is a Barcelona fan. But yeah. So who wants to get us kicked off with Messi in fourth?
Okay, I'm just gonna quickly like 30 second. Wait, so you're telling me there's two more players left? Or how many players? Three. Please tell me there are three players left.
There's three players left.
Okay, okay, then we're good. Then we're good. Because I thought
So
there
I
could be
mean,
two.
Messi, yeah, I don't know. I had him pretty low on my list. I had him like eighth because the thing is, he turned 20 in June 2007. Like, if you look at his stats, they weren't that great. Like, he had won the Champions League in 2006,
Yeah.
sure, but he wasn't like a key contributor for that. Like, there were players that had done way more to win that Champions League. He scored a hat trick against Real Madrid in 2007, fair enough, and in
Yeah.
the Bernabeu, that's like a great achievement. But he wasn't like this world beater that we see now. In the 2006 World Cup, he had pretty minimal involvement. Like, I don't know, I think it's crazy to put him fourth, to be honest.
I
And it's
So
just
I
because
was gonna
he's the best ever.
yeah, but I would also just add that right, his role in the team was not to score like insane amounts of goals. It was just to sort of connect to the already strong team that was built there, right? So when I look at his role within that team, yes, he was not like the behemoth that he became, but he still played a very important role in like in shaping that Barcelona squad, right? And in shaping their style of play and everything. So I don't know, for me, yeah, also the La Liga and Champions League double, right? Winning that as a teenager, playing a part or at least contributing to that, and all that you mentioned for me just warranted him being very high on the list. And yeah, man, like that Clasico at Real Madrid, it's crazy, like absolutely insane. But
so
yeah,
yeah, Julian and Pablo's friend Alessandro had him the highest at third. Um, I had him at sixth. Pablo had him at eighth. Morgan had him at fifth. Yeah. So I mean, he's pretty high across all of the lists, and I think he's one of those that because he's a pretty consistent player in the list, he ended up racking up so many points and ending up fourth on our overall list. For me, I put him sixth, and I kind of struggled. I put him right above Rooney, right below Neymar. But my thing with Messi was he had what I think you were talking about, Pablo, two seasons, 18 and 19, where he was playing. So what was that, 05, 06, 06, 07, probably something like that.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Or and he was very good for Barcelona as a 19-year-old. It's also, again, you're right. He does get a little bit of a benefit being arguably the greatest player of all time. So yeah, he was pretty unbelievable though when he was young for Messi. Like when you think of that 19-year-old Messi with the long hair, when he scored
yeah,
that the Ankara Messi goal, I think he was 18 or
I'm gonna
19 years
That
old.
that was that was he
yeah,
was 19.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm coming
And
to, I'm coming.
yeah, so I think you got to give him his plaudits. He obviously didn't have the same output, but still looking at the output he had in those years for a winger,
Yeah.
playing in that Barcelona system, it's pretty remarkable.
I mean, if you
Yeah,
look at
but I
his
mean,
what is it season in the Segunda division, right? I mean, just on par with Hesse in terms
that
of
doesn't. I mean, I would argue though that he didn't win anything in 2006-07, which is his best season as an under 20-year-old. Like in 2005-06, Barcelona won the league and Champions League
Exactly.
double, but
Yeah.
Messi only played 17 games in that season and scored 6 goals. So like
No, 17
he
games in the
played
league. He played
yeah,
25
but
in
he
that.
played
Yeah.
less than half of the league games. So like how big was his contribution really? Like would they
yeah,
be a vastly worse team without him? I don't think so personally. I mean, I wasn't really following La Liga during that year, so I can't
yeah,
say. But like I think it's a bit like compared to the players that I put above him, I think third is egregious, Julian, to be
yeah.
honest.
Honestly, like I'd be happy to take it back. I think uh, I think it's just because it's messy, right? There's a bit of like extra weight in my mind,
Yeah.
right? The GOAT. So, I mean, for me, it's almost like the GOAT would have had to have an outstanding teenage period as well, right? Because, I mean, he's the GOAT. But actually, when we drill down into it and some of the other names that I've heard being mentioned, honestly, I think I would have maybe even put him outside the top 10, man. Like, now that you think about it,
Yeah. Well, I don't know,
like,
but even just to give an example, right? Like Messi didn't play the Champions League final in 2006. I'm pretty sure because I read his
yeah,
autobiography, so I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that he didn't even
yeah,
feature in the final. Kluivert scored a decisive goal,
But
right? So even there,
yeah,
like, you
yeah.
could argue that Kluivert had a bigger impact as a teenager.
It's true.
Again,
No, I agree.
yeah.
Actually,
But to be
yeah.
fair, I feel like I don't want us to get too bogged down on like stats and trophies. I think
Of
part of
course
this
not.
as well, and part of the way I ranked it, and again, I didn't even rank Messi necessarily that highly. I put him sixth, which I thought was fair. I didn't have him in the top five. I think you have to include just the quality and the actual like vibe when you're watching them.
Well,
I mean, I had him sixth, and I thought I was going to get slandered for having him sixth, man. I originally had him below Rooney and below I had him in the same spot as you originally, eighth.
Well, that's the thing because he's Messi, you're like you can't put Messi eighth. Like, yeah, you can. I mean,
But dude,
it's
he was also so good. Like I know like if we're talking about these stats, but even if you include the stats, I mean, even if you include the stats, this 0607, 36 goals, 17, sorry, 36 appearances, 17 goals. That's not even including the assist numbers and the creation
that's
like
true, but
stats.
he didn't win anything that year,
Yeah, but the year before that, he won a double, and I mean, 8 goals in all comps in only 25 games. I mean, he was unbelievably good, man. Like,
Yeah.
unbelievably good.
There's one player that's coming up that I think is way too high. I mean, we'll get
Yeah,
into that.
you're gonna get absolutely massacred for that, by the way. I wasn't gonna, you're like, prepare yourself because you're gonna get absolutely massacred compared. But yeah, coming back to Messi, I'd say one of the reasons that you see him ranked so highly across all of the lists and why people talk about him as one of the greatest teenagers ever is outside of his goals and assists contributions. I mean, he was just unbelievably good, even just on a technical level. You look at an 18, 19-year-old player running circles around defenders in one of the best leagues in the world. And yeah, his performance against big teams like Real Madrid, I think that's something that, yeah, you got to give him credit for as a teen.
and 60 goal. I would also argue, I was just doing a bit of research before this, but 60 goal contributions before he reached 20 as well. Like for a Barcelona team that, albeit, yes, didn't win a trophy in his sort of big season, but still, I mean, he chipped in with goals and assists. And yeah, not to mention his just all around play.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's Lionel Messi. Um, Now we're breaking into the top three. And between third and second, I can tell you there was only a 2 point difference. So it was extremely close, came down to the fine margins. We'll get into the third place player first, who's going to be a very, you know, big name, let's say, so to speak. This is the first player that someone has had in first place. And this is the first player that, sorry, the second player to feature on almost every single list so far, and that is none other than Lamine Yamal. Um, so we're gonna get into it. We will admit we had a little bit of a chat off screen, and we think this will be quite a contentious one. I've got Lamine Yamal in third. Julian's got Lamine Yamal in second. Morgan's got Lamine Yamal in second. Dior's got Lamine Yamal in first. Alessandro Ale has somehow forgotten Lamine Yamal, which is absolutely egregious. I don't know what what went on there. Maybe it just slipped his mind. And then the other Alessandro has got him in seventh, and Pablo has him in sixth. Which, since you're the one that's present, Pablo, I gotta ask you why do you put Lamine Yamal in sixth?
Wait, do I have him in sixth or in seventh? Let me just check. I
Oh,
think I had him in.
Sorry,
Oh
you have
no,
him
no,
in,
it's seventh. Yeah.
yeah, you have him in seventh. My bad.
So the reason I put him in seventh, so the thing is, I was in two states of mind, right? On the one hand, he could easily be first, if not second, right? Because he's maybe the best player in the world right now, arguably, right? But the way that I see it is that I do think that the quality in football has decreased over the years. So I don't think it's fair to like compare like his relative standing vis-a-vis other players with the relative standing of the players that played 20 years ago, right? Because I just think 20 years ago the quality was higher in football. So that's why I put him a bit lower. Obviously, there are a lot of points in his favor. Last year, he scored a boatload of goals, I think around 18 in all comps. He was maybe the best player of Spain in the 2024 Euros, even though it eventually was Rodri that was like officially named as the best player. He could have won the Ballon d'Or this year, even though Dembele eventually won it and like by quite a big margin. But my biggest argument, yeah, was just that I think football is not like the level of quality is definitely lower than it was 20 years ago. So, yeah.
So I'm going to be honest, and I don't mean to put you on blast here, but I think it's insane to have him anywhere outside of the top three. I'm not even a Barcelona fan, to be clear. I have my qualms with Barcelona, but Lamine Yamal literally turned 18 less than 3 months ago, and is one of the best players in the world. You can make a case for him being the best player in the world at this moment, and I don't think that would be an insane take. I put him third only because the two people I put above him, I just think were slightly better. Um, but in terms of teenagers and just how good they are, he's easily one of the best players I've ever seen. I mean, on a technical level, on an output level, on a big game level, I mean, his performance at the Euros was absolutely nuts. And that was before turning 17. I mean, scoring against France as a 16-year-old in the fashion that he did. When I watched that goal live with my friends, I wasn't even upset. I literally just clapped. Yeah. Anyways, Julian, do you want to back me up
Yeah.
here on Lamine
I,
Yamal?
I mean, okay, just I never want to talk in what ifs, maybes, whatnots, but I think he was very close to winning the treble as an 18-year-old, on top of already winning the Nations League, not the Nations League. Oh yeah, the Nations League and the Euros with Spain. And so for me, I mean, if we're talking about impact and quality and stats and everything just combined, and also I know we said like yeah, up to this current date, but he has 2 more years of being a teenager, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes ahead and yeah, well, becomes just the best teenager we've ever seen. Um, yeah, all time. I mean, maybe yes.
Yeah, but you can't rank based on
Yeah, I know,
potential
I
because you
know.
don't
That's
know
why.
what's
That's
going to
why. That's why
happen.
I'm putting my hands in the air. But even just based on current performances, trophy stats, impact.
I
I mean, for me, it's unquestionable how
Dude,
uh,
I
he has such a chance.
I agree with Julian. I just have to say, Pablo, for me, it's not even about potential. I mean, the kid's literally turned 18 like 2.5 months ago, almost 3 months ago.
Yeah,
And for me, already, without even finishing his 18-year-old season, let alone his season when he'll be 19 next year, he's already like a top three teenager of all time
yeah,
off of performance.
yeah,
I mean, in the 23-24 season when he would have been what? He would have been
16.
16 as a 16-year-old, 37 games in La Liga for Barcelona, played almost every single game, whether it's as a starter or a substitute. The season after that, so last season, 35 games. I mean,
yeah.
as a 16, 17-year-old playing for what is like a top three, in my opinion, a top three biggest club in the world, like in
Yeah.
terms of size and recognition,
Yeah.
is absolutely insanity. And that's
And that's
ignoring
a
his
leading role, a
performance.
leading role, a leading role in one of the best.
Exactly. It's not just like you can make an argument. I mean, I love Pedri. I think he is arguably Barcelona's best player right now, but I like Yamal is almost like eclipsed that completely. He's just so good. It's apart from the fact that he's a teen, even if he was 30 years old, everyone would be saying this is one of the top two, if not best wingers in the world. Like the Trivellas, the creativity, the dribbling. I've never seen anything like it.
Just his run against PSG. That's why I was getting in my head. Just his little that clip of his little run like against PSG like 2 weeks ago in the Champions League, right? Where he's like, yeah, roulette and then dude, just that alone, yeah, I mean that warrants a third place position on this list. Just that run alone.
No, the thing is, like, your points make a lot of sense, right? I'm not saying they don't, but I just think the quality of football has decreased, right? So if he was playing 20 years ago, he wouldn't have had the same success. I know you can say like if buts and maybes, like you never
Yeah,
know,
bro,
right?
you like yeah.
But
But
the
that,
thing
You're
is,
using me, bro.
like
Hypotheticals, and now you're using a hypothetical, no?
dude, if my
I
grandmother had
think
wheels,
I
she
just
would have
think
been a bike.
it
Like,
was hard. It was harder to um stand out as a teenager in the 2000s than it is now. That's my personal opinion, right? And so I understand that like if you look at the stats, like it definitely paints a picture that he should be up there. But I would say like I mean the guys I had on top, like I
That.
would still keep them on top. Like Michael Owen, I had Raul. Raul I certainly would keep on top of Lamine Yamal. Matthijs
Yeah.
de Ligt again. He was
Yeah.
captaining the team, right? Like Casillas is the only one where I'm like maybe, or actually Casillas and de Ligt, maybe I would have switched him around. So maybe I'd put Lamine Yamal fifth, but I don't think he goes higher than fifth because
I think
I
he
think the other
goes
That's
high.
players
I
might be
think
I
that's
think
better
he
in
goes
I think
higher
game.
that's
than
Yeah.
the Lick.
insane.
I think he goes
Yeah.
higher than the Lick. There's
I
no
knew this
question.
was gonna be
That's
I
not
think
even
this
a
is gonna
question.
be I think that's insane, Pablo. I mean, I had him third and I like thought that I would get Sloon for that. I think you can make like sorry, Slade for that, but he's just like he again, I hate to mention that he's recently turned 18, but it's like literally he's gonna play two more seasons as a teenager and he's
World
already one of the
Cup.
greatest.
World
He's
Cup. I
gonna
know.
play
Okay, hypotheticals out of them, but like,
we'll
yeah,
see how the
we'll
World
see.
Cup's gonna
Look,
go. He's gonna be playing
if he
that as an
wins, I'm
18
gonna
year
say
old. I
this: if he
mean,
wins the World Cup and is like the best player in the World Cup, I think he's becomes first in
Yeah,
this
yeah,
list. To
yeah.
be
oh
I agree.
yeah,
honest.
I mean that's
I
without
agree.
a doubt. These
Yeah.
are fine margins. For me, between first, second, and third is already fine
But the
margins.
thing is, for me, it's all like a very fine margin. Like from first to second, it's like pretty close, and then like from first to seventh, sorry, and then after seventh, like it gets a bit like further apart, right? Like, and the reason is I wanted to give like the flowers to like Matthijs de Ligt, who was really the guy that dragged Ajax to that semifinal with his performance, right? Like obviously Lamine is good, but I just think. As I said, like, and maybe like this is the wrong way of seeing it, but I do think that football was had more skill like 20 years ago. Like maybe that's not the case, but that's just how I personally feel being a fan of it. But if you see it as all equal and just like look at purely the accolades, I would
Yeah.
say sure it'd probably be higher for sure. I
So
agree with that.
I'm not going to clash that opinion because that's obviously all of this is subjective, but that's super subjective. But there's certain players that I think are good regardless of the era that are kind of like there's certain players, and it's rare in football. It's one of the biggest compliments you can give that like a player from the past or a player from now bringing them into the past, that they'll be as good. And I think Lamine Yamal is one of those that eclipses it. I think he's like there are certain players that I think would be good regardless of the era. So I'll give an example. It's not a teenager, but I think Hullitz would be good in any era. I think R9 would be good in any era. I think Cruyff would be good in any era. These types of players. I think Lamine Yamal, I mean, he's a teen now. We obviously don't know how far he's going to go, but the fact that he's already played over, I think he's played like what 100 or almost 100 senior
Something like that,
games.
yeah.
Like that's insane at 18 years old, and that he has a
And his stats.
GA
I mean,
that's
just like
crazy.
last season, the assists, man, like that, like, and just not even just the number of assists, man, the assists he were getting. I mean, it was just insane,
Exactly.
right? Just creating all by himself. To have that impact as a teenager, like, yeah, I
I mean,
mean,
when he was 16, I'm looking at it here, his season, apart from the 37 games he played in La Liga, he played 50 games across all competitions, including 37 La Liga, 10 Champions League, 7 goals,
No,
9
that's
assists. I
fair.
mean, it's
Yeah,
just
I
like
mean,
for
I
16
agree with
year
your
old, it's
points. Yeah, like
ridiculous.
the thing is though, looking at my list, the only one that I would change because I did want to also give the flowers to like a goalkeeper and a defender because I do think it's harder to be younger and be in those positions. Maybe I'd put him on top of Michael Owen, maybe R9, but like I did want to like I don't know, like but your point, you make good points. Like definitely. He has the potential to be maybe the greatest player ever if he continues at this level. The question is, we
Yeah.
don't know if he will, right? So
Again,
yeah,
yeah, sorry. I'm not trying to put you two on blast here. It's not like you're in a courtroom having to defend yourself. It's more so like any player you put in the top 10 is obviously amazing.
yeah.
It's just for me, Lamine is one of like he's one of those that sorry, I just had to give him his flowers. Like I've never seen this for a 16, 17-year-old. Like he got over
no,
40
especially
goal
when he was 16,
contributions.
like that goal he scored like against France in the Euros, where
Insane.
I think it
Yeah.
was like a couple days after Rabiot had said that he was like overhyped or something like that,
Rabiot is an idiot, but
and then
yeah.
he scored like in his face, like that was just like such a moment of brilliance
Habla
from him.
mucho, habla mucho.
Yeah. But yeah, so
But
then
yeah.
okay, I think I mean I understand some of your points for sure.
But yeah, so anyways, he ended up
I'd probably rank him higher if I could redo it. I think I can admit that.
and it's fair. I mean, you still had
Seventh.
him
I mean,
very
him
high.
not being
Seventh
on
is very high.
Alessandro's list is actually
Yeah. I mean,
egregious.
he's gonna go on trial for that. I don't know
He's
what.
gonna need to defend himself at some point, but that's an egregious
But I
take.
think he just must have forgotten. He must have genuinely like
Uh,
because it's such a current player, just turned 18, is in like the news all the time. Like it must be one of those where he just slips the mind. Like that's the only possible explanation. So
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, getting into the top two. Um, this is where it's going to get really interesting. Well, it's
So was
already
the t
very
I thought
interesting.
the first was unanimous, so was it not? Because you said some people put Yamal first.
One person put Yamal first, and that's
And
where I'm getting into the details here. Yamal ended up with 44 points and in third place, and he was 2 points off of the person in second. So I'm gonna say both names. We'll talk about the person in second, obviously, but in second place with 46 points is R9 Ronaldo, Ronaldo Nazario, the infamous. And in first place by, I did not expect it to be this close, especially because I was prepared to defend my bias. In first place with 69 points out of a total possible 70 points, almost a clean sweep across first place is Kylian Mbappe. So getting into R9 first, 2 points above Yamal. Um, yeah, there's one thing that we got to bring up is like, I mean, he's not he's missing from Dior's list. I'm convinced he must have forgotten him because he loves Ronaldo. Then Julian, you've got him in
I
Julian,
wanna
you're about
publicly
to
come
be
out
like Pablo, just
and
like Pablo got
and-
annihilated.
yeah,
You've
yeah,
got him
yeah.
in seventh.
Look. I plead the fifth here. I was wrong. I mean, just I was because as we were just chatting through the list over the past like hour or so, I was like, wow, okay. And I was like reading, and then actually, man, I mean, I should have put him way higher. Top three for sure, no doubt. I mean, 100 goals before he turned 20, three international trophies with Brazil. Not to mention, yeah, an insane season at PSV, right, with 30 plus goals as a 19-year-old. Um, and that's just that's just stats, man. We're not even talking about ball ability, like his
yeah, that's considering that he had a major injury in his second season at PSV. He only played 13 games. So like if he had played a full season, he probably has even more goals.
exactly,
So
exactly.
before we get into his quality, just to give you guys the spread, I had him in second. Pablo had him in third. Julian had him in seventh, but as he explained, he would amend that. Morgan had him in fourth. Uh, and both Alessandros had him in second. So he was pretty consistently one of the top performers. Yeah, I mean, R9 is one of those like when I was looking him up, I was like, okay, he's got to be on this list. And I was just curious whether the Barcelona season would be included in this. And then
Unfortunately
he
not.
turned 20 in September of that season.
Yeah,
But even if you exclude that insane Barcelona season, what he did in the Eredivisie alone is like absolute insanity. And I think he's one of those like Yamal. You can maybe even make more of a case for him that like he was arguably the best player in the world at that point as
Yeah.
like a teenager.
yeah, yeah,
Also, I have to just say, like, if this might be an unpopular opinion, if that Barcelona season counted, he would be first for me
Yeah, I would
in this
agree. I don't
list.
think that's an unpopular opinion.
Because the thing is, he was also playing in the 90s, right? Like in the 90s, defenders used to hack down players. Like there were a lot less protections than there are now. One of the reasons why Ronaldo's knees were shot to bits by the age of like 25 is because he was given like very aggressive treatment by defenders, right? Like he was just like there, he was insanely yeah, treated. I mean, same as Maradona when he was playing, right? Pele as well, obviously. So that makes it even more impressive that a kid that young is able to score that many goals. So I would say third. I put Raul second just because Raul contributed to like more winning of like trophies and he played for Real Madrid. But as I said, if that season with Barcelona had counted, I think I would have put Ronaldo first. He was just amazing when he
yeah.
was young.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, R9, as you so eloquently put, Pablo was obviously playing in an era where defending was different to how it is now. And it was, very physical. I think apart from that, like when I first thought of him, I was only thinking of the Eredivisie stuff. And turns out, even in Brazil, as a 16-year-old, he was absolutely cracked and scoring an absurd number of goals. I mean, as Julian put it, what is it like 100 goals by the time you're 20 or before 20 or almost 100 goals? That's absolutely nuts. I mean, I think it's a pretty unanimous ranking here.
Yeah,
Yeah, and not that this counts, but he was brought to the World Cup in '94 that Brazil won, but he didn't play. So like I wouldn't really count that in the argument, but he was so special that they brought him to the tournament. So I do think he has a winner's medal for that one as well. So I would kind of keep that as a small factor,
yeah,
but obviously it doesn't put him number one.
Yeah. So then, yeah, having giving him his flowers, the number one, the unanimous MVP with 69 points is Kylian Mbappé, which, as you can see in my background, that's him scoring against Argentina as a teenager in the 2018 World Cup. I've spoken about him like a plethora of times already on this podcast, so I'm gonna hand it over to someone else.
I can take it. I mean, for me, the main differentiator for putting him first, to be honest, is that World Cup, right? Like it's small margins again in this list, but the thing is, the good players stand up at the right moment, and obviously, it's kind of unfair, right? Because it's some players maybe didn't have the chance to shine at a World Cup before they were 20. But so like it's kind of unfair to hold that against them. But Mbappe did have the chance, and he took it. He grabbed it with both hands, right? With that insane double against Argentina, that goal in the final as well against Croatia. Like he was not named the best player because Luka Modric got it that year, but I do believe that he maybe deserved to win it. Everyone says that it was the best tournament since Pele in 1958, and again, like. It would have been very contentious between the two of them if it had been an all-time rather than a last 35 years list. But for me, there was no question, right? Like last 35 years, it's got to be Mbappe also because for me international tournaments do have a lot of weight when it comes to these lists. Like it's just really hard to stand out when you're 18. Well, he was 19 and a half, but still that's insanely young, right? Like at that age to do what he did. So for me, it's no question Mbappe number one. As an Italian, we're conditioned to not like the French national team, so that I think shows the quality of the player that even with that in mind, I couldn't help but put him first.
yeah, man. Honestly, I couldn't agree more. I have nothing else to add there. I mean, I would just mention that, yeah, even the breakout season with Monaco, he was immense. I mean, Champions League
yes,
that performance against Man City, like, I mean, unforgettable. And I think just he's just been one of the most electric teenagers that I saw that I've seen, at least in my generation, and just his ability to, yeah, he's just that pace, man. I still don't think I've seen any player like that was able to just, yeah, go nuts, man. Like, yeah, and, yeah, man. I think he's
yeah,
undoubtedly number one. No questions asked.
yeah.
Yeah,
I do want to yeah say a couple things. I mean, obviously, I agree with everything you guys both just said. And it's pretty telling that he almost got the clean sweep up top. But apart from obviously the World Cup, which I think we all value very heavily and give a lot of like you know value to, he um he was ridiculous at Monaco, as Julian was saying. I mean, in Champions League, as a 17-year-old tearing up defenses as like a tricky winger. But then even just his first season at PSG, his first two seasons at PSG, like the loan and then the permanent signing. I think in the permanent signing, he did turn 20 by like December, but still
yeah,
he was absolutely nuts. Like,
yeah.
I know a lot of people criticize Liga, and a lot of it is justified. But the fact that Mbappe, I think why he's able to avoid that as a criticism when he was a teen, especially, is because he just kept doing it on the biggest stages. I mean, World Cup matches, Champions League matches,
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, and I would just mention, I mean, he fucking won the Liga with Monaco as a teenager, like broke the PSG streak,
Yeah,
and
that's
then moved
true.
to PSG. So I mean, that's a whole other thing, right? Like he played a pivotal role in like I wouldn't say an upset, but it arguably could be seen as a bit of an upset considering PSG stature within the league. So I mean,
That's true.
an
2017, yeah.
incredible domestic season. Off the back of that, to have the World Cup that he did, I mean, just that probably year alone, year and a half alone. I mean, yeah, no question. And
All right.
semifinals of the Champions League. So not wrong with mine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. All right, well, that's been our top 10 teenagers since 1990. Obviously, a lot of interesting picks, a lot of good discussions, contentious discussions. At the end of the day, this is always going to be subjective, and what you value as a player, whether it's, ability, output, records, like efficiency. That's always going to be down to the individual. But we're going to flash our final top 10 list as well as their points up on the screen here and close it out there. So thank you guys for watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Ciao.